Frank, do you think even if Francis loses this fight, do you think there's still some big fights out there in boxing for him if he puts in a good performance? Like the Tyson fight, you could put him up against Wilder, couldn't you?
He looked brilliant, didn't he? He done what he had to do. So if he performs like he did last time, he's a very, very, very viable heavyweight. I've got to tell you something. I wish I'd have signed him up when he was younger, before he got into UFC. That's for sure.
Is there anyone that you'd like to see him fight out there as well? You know, you got your Zangs, Parker. That would be, both of those would be good matchups as well, wouldn't they?
It would be good matches, and we'll see what's going to happen. Let's get these ones out of the way first. See, you're being greedy.
I am.
We've got the fights.
Riyadh Caesar's making us greedy, Frank.
Frank, just a quick question on one of the undercard fights we've seen announced, involving another one of your heavyweights, Zhilei Zhang versus Joseph Parker. What a great fight!
It is a great fight. It's a brilliant fight, and a very meaningful fight for the WBO interim title, and the winner of that is the mandatory challenger, and that organisation will call for a mandatory soon.
Do you have any idea what the sort of time scale is on the mandatory for the WBO?
Off the top of my head, I haven't. I think the IBF is next, but you know what? They're great fights. Let's watch the fights. Enjoy them. Just enjoy them. If you've got a conscience, you'll be there.
I'll be there.
I know you will. You've got no conscience.
Turkey made a little comment about Oscar De La Hoya and he's come back and been quite vocal against it. We want to see all promoters cooperating, and I suppose if they're going to be vocal and say that they're not involved, then so be it. Leave them to one side. Is that sort of you reiterate that?
Who really cares about them? If they don't want to be involved, they don't want to come to the party. They're missing a great party. A great party. You know. Why is it all the fights have got to happen in Vegas, the big fights? You know, why is that the case? Because the casinos pay big money. What's great for us, Britain, is when these fights happen, these particular fights that are on in Saudi, you can watch them at prime time. You're not got to sit up in the morning till 5 and 6 o'clock. You can watch them prime time.
Frank, there was the undisputed belt that was revealed there as well. Will it be the winner of this against the winner of Usyk Fury, or is the rematch clauses involved in that and the rest of it?
Well, you heard what His Excellency said. We'll see what happens.
Frank, do you think that Ngannou may be in AJ's head because of those comments where he said AJ would be easier to knock down than Tyson? Because AJ was very quiet in today's press conference, as he has been recently.
Yeah, well, I'll be honest, I've only been to 2 press conferences with him. That was the last fight in this, and he was quiet, as you say, in both of them. So you know better than I do what he says.
Does it still feel surreal sat there being friendly with Eddie now after all these years? Because it's what fight fans have wanted to see for so long, and you're delivering together. You're delivering absolute dream fights.
Well, we are. They're great fights, and what everybody's going to be really pleased to see is when the both of us on the front of Men's Health together.
Is this a long-term development with Riyadh season? Do you see this happening for 5-10 years now, delivering these sorts of mega fights?
There's a massive look. The Riyadh season is in its 4th year. It's a massive cultural event. It's massive. Sports are on there. All different sports have been on there. We've had obviously the boxing. You've had football matches. You've had tennis. All sorts. You go through all the sports. They've all been on there. All sorts of music, from classical, hip hop, rock. Everything's been on there, not just Western music, from other parts of the world, Eastern music. So it's a massive cultural event, and boxing figures highly in that. It opened it this year. Tyson opened it. So yeah, I see, as long as it's going on and we're delivering and doing what we're doing, of course, why wouldn't it be?
And last one from me, I know Conor McGregor has attended numerous of these events, and he's always said he wants to get involved with boxing. Could you and Eddie co-promote his return to boxing if that was to happen? Because he's always said he wants those mega fights in boxing.
As we can see from today and recently, you never say never to anything.
Yeah. Frank, just a quick one for myself. You've had a few negative press. One of your people is Carl Froch, who said that this is just a money grab fight. What do you make of his comments?
A money grab fight?
Yeah.
Well, they don't fight for nothing. They're professional boxers. What's a money grab fight? You mean like he wanted to fight, who was it?
I think he's talking about Joshua.
Joshua. Who was it he wanted to fight?
Paul.
Jake Paul. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Was that a money grab fight? Jake Paul against Carl Froch?
Frank, just want to talk about Nick Ball, who's got himself a world title shot against Ray Vargas.
We've not announced all this yet.
Well, we've seen it today from Ariel Helwani, I think, who's on behalf of Mr. Alam Sheikh.
It's come out?
Tell me about that potential fight.
That potential fight is a great fight for Nick, and I'd love it to happen, and I'm quite confident we will get that fight on.
Just with yourself and Mr. Hearn, is this something that we can see now in the UK, or is this something that this newfound relationship for Riyadh season only?
Oh, we have. Look, you know, at the end of the day, we are rivals in promoting. In this particular, we're not stupid enough not to let this opportunity stop fights from happening. Fights that everybody wants to see, including ourselves, because we're fans. And in the UK, we will carry on being, I'm quite sure, competitive with each other, because all these boxers, whatever, it's what happens in boxing. Eventually, they're going to retire, get beat, or whatever they're going to do, and you've got to get the next generation. So we'll be working on bringing him through the next generation. And whereas Vegas was the place, certainly when I started out, any fighter won a world title, they'd be off to Vegas defending their title out in the States, and you wouldn't see them again. Lennox Lewis did it, lots of fighters did it. And you can see all these youngsters coming through and wanting to go to it, which I think is going to be the biggest home of world boxing, which will be in Saudi, which will be in Riyadh. And you can see that happening. But that's not going to stop us doing what we've always done, developing, bringing fighters through, and still putting big shows on in football stadiums. That will happen.
Does it present a different challenge for promoters in the UK? You know, fighters we've seen recently, people talking about fighters holding out for the Saudi money, so on and so forth.
Look, there's only been a certain amount of shows on. So if you all want to, they ain't gonna. It's not about holding out. It's about having an opportunity, and it's not just about British fighters. You look at the cards. There's fighters from all around the world on these cards.
Just final one from me. A former Anthony Yarde opponent this past weekend, Artur Beterbiev, stoppage win over Callum Smith. I know you're a boxing man, Frank. Did you get time to watch it?
I did, and I thought Beterbiev done a job. He done a good job, as far as if you were Beterbiev, he done a good job, and it just shows you how well he did as well, Anthony Yarde.
What next for Anthony Yarde? Obviously, he's boxing in a couple of weeks' time.
He's fighting on the 10th of February on the undercard of Shiraz and Liam Williams, Hamza Shiraz and Williams. And after that, he'll be involved in a big fight, a big fight.
If I had to gave you one of my pounds, not yours, to put on Beterbiev or Bivol, who wins?
Beterbiev.
Craig, sorry if this has already been talked about, but obviously this in March,
Sorry, I didn't.
Usyk and Fury in February, and this in March, Zhang and Parker as well on this card. How much does February-March set up a brilliant 2024 for the heavyweight division as a whole?
Heavyweight division's been brilliant. I mean, since Tyson stepped into the ring with Ngannou, it's changed the whole dynamic of the heavyweight division. We're seeing the fights that everybody's been wanting to happen, and the catalyst for it was I said at the time, it'd be a game changer, and that was a game changer, and you've seen the game change now.
In terms of the Matchroom versus Queensbury card that you mentioned, how star-studded do you expect that one to be?
Well, I don't think we're putting our worst out, that's for sure. So I think
going all the way over Saudi, aren't you? So
it's going to have to be a competitive and a good card. So it's going to be brilliant.
Would Fury and Joshua be included in that, or would that have to be something separate? Fury and Joshua.
Definitely not.
What sort of time frame are you targeting that for? Summertime, towards the end of the year?
Well, this all happened very quickly. We'll have to see.
Well, that would make a great annual event. Just an idea out there.
Make a great monthly event.